Part 11, bankruptcy and other unscrupulous options. So you may not get in debt in your life, or you may get in debt. And I guess there's good debt and there's bad debt. Everybody says buying a house is good debt. Anytime you don't have an asset that's equivalent to your owings, then that's bad debt. Eventually a house gets to be good debt, I guess. I guess it's good debt because it's cheaper than renting, maybe. Do the numbers, figure it out. But certainly if you buy a bunch of clothes and you throw them out a year later and you bought them on a credit card and you're paying 21% interest and you pay the minimums or whatever it is, then that was pretty bad debt because you ended up paying twice as much for those clothes as you could have if you just paid cash. And maybe you didn't need those clothes. Who knows? But there's all kinds of scenarios. But we live in America, and America years and years ago said, I know maybe in the Middle Ages or early, even after that, they had debtor's prison, where if you took a lot of debt, they sent you to prison. America, breaking free from the British, said, we're not going to have that crap, even though they had slavery, but so be it. They originally got rid of slavery too. But they definitely got rid of debtor's prisons. So we have this thing called bankruptcy, and I don't advocate bankruptcy. I know people who have had bankruptcy. Sometimes it's your option. Sometimes you feel it's the only option, and you'll actually end up paying the lawyers a hefty fee for that bankruptcy, where they can discharge dischargeable debts. And so be it. Not quite the stigma that it had years ago, but you can clean your slate. And so if you have a ton of debt and you have a choice of paying forever on that debt, you do the calculations at the minimum payment, and it's 25 years that you'd have to take to pay it out of it, I would say bankruptcy. Because you've worked yourself into a situation that you just can't get out of it. 7 years I put out there, that's your credit reporting typically. So anything people negatively report will typically drop off in 7 years. Otherwise, people can see that you're a loser. I, at one time, had a tremendous amount of credit card debt. It was all on credit cards. It was about $40,000. And I did not claim bankruptcy. I just simply said, there's no assets to that. I said, I'm not going to pay it anymore. Because I saw my monthlies and I would transfer. This was the golden age of I think it was 1990s. And people were routinely, there's another offer. It's sort of like, I didn't cover this in housing, but it's like ARM, adjustable rate mortgages, where you plan on in the next 5 years swapping it out to another mortgage. Credit cards used to be like that, and you would swap to the lowest interest rate, and when you transfer for 1 year, they'd give you interest free. Minus your annual number. So anyways, I wasn't good with money. I ranked up a bunch of debt. But I didn't need to do bankruptcy because credit cards are unsecured debt, and all you do is don't pay them. So am I telling you, hey, if somebody's dumb enough to loan you $40,000 and you get to a point in your life and you've racked these up, I mean, I'm loan by loan, I mean adjust limits on credit cards. So I think they've got a lot smarter on this lately. But if you could rack up $50,000 and pay your college off, and then not pay the credit cards, then you'll be ahead. And so nobody ever told you that, but I have now. It's not a great scenario. They're going to debt collect you. Nowadays, I think they really look at credit for your jobs. So you may not get a job. That's going to be a tough negative outcome of that. But they will call you. They will call your friends saying Jeff owes $15,000 on my Visa card. Can you have any money to help him? Definitely don't pay on it because that resets the clock. But after 7 years, it's pretty much, actually in some states, look at your state and look at whatever it is, but in some states, after like 3 years, they can't even collect anymore. You can still, and actually, after a little while, they can't call and hound you either. So, as a youngster, you can take this approach. It's kind of a slick approach, a little weasel wordy. It's better off never getting in debt and living within your means. But if you take out federal student loans, those will not be discharged. So that's a different type of loan. You take out a loan for a car, you don't pay the car, it's secured debt. You don't pay the car, they come take the car. Cell phones, a little bit tricky, but I've had a bad cell phone carrier, AT&T, nailing them now. They wouldn't. When they switched from Altel to AT&T, I was on a 2-year. Back then, you used to use. I think you still have contracts. And 3 months away, they wouldn't negotiate me, wouldn't do anything. I didn't pay it. Had it for a while. Didn't stop me from getting more car loans. Didn't stop me from getting a house. Didn't stop me from anything. So it depends on how much you're borrowing, but definitely poor car. So my point being that if you're in debt and you think it's the honorable thing to pay those debts off, good for you. But if you calculate the numbers and you're not going to be able to pay it off, just find an alternative. Go bankrupt or don't pay it, and let them try to collect off you. They may take you to court. They may get a judgment. Whatever. They won't collect. Trust me. And you'll be ahead. So smart people, poor people. This is financial. Don't know how to tell it. So think about that. If you get stuck in a scenario where you borrowed a bunch of money and you just don't feel like paying it back,